Hey everyone, welcome back. This is your girl, the Homebuyer Mentor. I turn renters into homeowners right here in Tampa, Florida. Today we're going to talk about 5 telltale signs that you are not ready to buy a house yet. Yes, I know everybody tells you go ahead, buy the house, marry the rate, and all these things, and they make you kind of feel bad if you don't buy a house. They make you kind of feel like you're left behind if you don't buy a house. But I am here to tell you the truth. You are the only one that can decide whether or not you want to buy a house. And there are reasons why people can't afford to buy this house. So I'm going to tell you 5 of those reasons. If you are facing any one of them at this particular time, you're probably not ready to buy a house yet. And it's fine. The time will come when you can buy a house. But if now is not your time, it's fine. Don't let anybody let you feel bad. Again, my name is Josette. If you've not yet subscribed, go ahead and do that. Hit the notification bell so you can be one of the first people to know every time I upload a new video. So let's go right into 5 telltale signs that you are not ready yet. Let's go. One of the first signs that you're not ready to buy a house yet is that you're struggling with debt. Number one, if you are struggling with debt, you're probably not ready to buy a house yet. Debt can really weigh you down, especially when you're trying to qualify for a home loan. All the lenders are going to be looking at your debt to income ratio. And if your debt to income ratio is too high, the probability of you not being able to qualify for a loan is also very high. So if you're struggling with debt, and that can be student loans, credit cards, car loans, other personal loans, those things add up. And if you're struggling to pay your debt every month, then you're probably not ready to buy a house yet. If you have to go to one of those, how you call them, those loan places where you can go borrow money, like Scott, is that what it is? If you have to go to one of those places every month to help you cover your monthly responsibilities, then you're probably not ready to buy a house, and that's fine. You can take the time to figure out how you can decrease your debt, and you can do that by getting a second job. You can do that by budgeting. You can do that by paying down some debts so that you can bring your debt to income ratio to a place where you can qualify to buy a house. So if you're struggling to pay your debts every month, you're probably not ready to buy a house yet. I know it's hard to say, but it's the truth. If you're left with more month than you have money, then you don't want to put more debt, more responsibility, because mortgage is a huge debt, and it will probably be one of your biggest debt throughout your lifetime. We know most mortgages are for 30 years. So you think of having to pay a mortgage for 30 years, and if you're struggling to pay $800 a month rent, then you're not going to be able to pay a $1,500 a month mortgage. So it just doesn't make sense. So if that's you, it's fine. Come up with a plan, figure out a way where you can get out of debt, make more money so that you can qualify to buy a house. Number two, the second sign that you're not yet ready to buy a house is your credit score being too low. Most lenders are looking for a 620 or a 640 credit score. Even though FHA's credit score limit is about 580, most lenders are looking for a higher credit score. So if your credit score is below that 620, you want to work on bringing that up a little bit so that you can qualify for mortgage. Now, how you do that, you want to check your credit report. I know most people don't like to check their credit report. It's like they're afraid of it, so they stay away from it like a plague. But go ahead, check your credit score, pay your bills on time, don't open any new debts, and don't use all your credit limits. For example, if you have a card and you have $1,000 limit, don't use up the whole $1,000. I think most people requiring to use at least 30% of that, 30% utilization. So you want to make sure that there's enough space on your credit card if you're going to be taking on more debt. You don't want your lender to see that you are using every penny that you have. And again, that contributes to the high debt. If you're utilizing all of your credit limit, that means you're incurring higher debt levels. So this is something that tells you clearly you're not ready yet, because by the lenders looking at your credit score, they're determining whether you are credit worthy. They're determining whether you are somebody they want to take a chance on, because they do expect to get paid too. And if you're already maxed out, you don't have space for anything else. So if you have a low credit score, you're probably not ready to buy a house yet. Number 3, you can't afford a down payment. If you can't afford a down payment, you're probably not ready to buy a house yet. Now, granted, there are many down payment assistance programs that are out there that are available to first-time home buyers, but buying a house is more than just coming up with down payment, right? There are other expenses that are incurred during the home buying process and after you buy the house. So if you're having a hard time coming up with a down payment, you're probably gonna have a hard time coming up with monthly mortgage. You're probably gonna have a hard time coming up with money to pay your other debts. And that is why if you find yourself, you're struggling with debt, you have a low credit score, and number 3, you can't afford a down payment, you probably are not ready yet to buy a house. What you can do, yes, there are down payment assistance that you can qualify for, like I said before, but it's always a good idea to start working and saving up some money so that in case you don't qualify for down payment assistance, you have a down payment that you can use. And not only that, you want to have a down payment, but you also want to have something saved that you can take care of the house after you buy the house. So you start by probably setting up a savings account that you can start putting money in a little bit at a time. And remember, a little bit goes a long way. You don't have to put $200 every month. You don't have to put $500 every month. But if you put 20, 30, 50, whatever amount you can afford, it might take you a little bit longer to get there. But trust me, you will get there. So you want to start by doing that. Have that little savings account that you can just have money going into. Probably get on a budget and start living below your budget. So if you have a $500 limit budget, maybe bring that down to about $450 so you can get that extra $50 to save to help you come up with a down payment to help you buy a house. So these were 3. Before I get on to number 4 and 5, again, I want to remind you that I am a licensed real estate agent in Tampa, Florida. I love turning renters into homeowners. If you're looking to buy a house in the Tampa Bay area, I do Hillsborough County, Pasco County, Pinellas County, and sometimes Hernando County. But if you're looking in any of these areas, my number is on the screen. Feel free to reach out. And if you've not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe so that you can know every time I upload a new video. Now let's dive into the 2 last one. The 2 other signs that you are not ready yet to buy a house. Number 4, if you don't know what you want and why you want it, you're not ready yet. I'm just saying. You know, it's almost like when you have a problem, right? You have an issue. If you don't identify the issue, you're never going to solve it, right? You're never going to, even if you don't acknowledge it, you're not going to solve it, right? It's almost like it doesn't exist. So if you don't know what you want, you don't know what you're looking for, you're not ready yet, right? If you want to buy a house, you got to sit down and make that plan. You got to sit down and write that down, and you got to know what you want, right? What kind of house you want, what area you want it, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, why you want to buy the house. What is the purpose of buying a house? Do you just want to buy a house because everybody else is buying a house? Do you want to buy a house because you want to start a legacy for your family? Do you want to buy a house because you want to be in the in crowd? It's all up to you. But if you don't know what you want, you're not ready yet, because you're not going to take any steps towards that goal because you don't have the goal, right? So your first step is to get the goal, decide. And once you decide and you know what you want and you know what matters to you and you know why you want the house, you're going to take the necessary steps to make that happen. If you know why you want a house, then savings does not, is not going to be an issue. Your credit score is not going to be an issue. The down payment is not going to be an issue. Why? Because you have a plan, because you have a goal, because you know, okay, I want a house, and here are the reasons, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, why I want a house, and here's what I need to do to get there, right? And once you come up with that plan and the steps on how you're going to get there, everything else falls in line. It will be easy for you to save. It'll be easy for you to say no to certain things. It'll be easy for you to say, you know what, I'm not opening any other credit, any other lines of credit, because I need to build what I have. I need to protect what I have. I need to make sure that I'm improving what I have. You get what I'm saying? So it becomes easy. It becomes easy to say, you know what, I'm not going to spend that extra $5 on a Starbucks. I'm going to put that in my piggy bank, or I'm going to put it in my house jar, however you want to call it. I want to put it in my house fund. It becomes easier simply because you know what you want, you know what to expect. You get your eye on a particular house. You're like, okay, this is the kind of house I want. This is where I want my house to be located. This is how many bedrooms and how many bathrooms I want, and da 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 da. And then you have that picture, and once you have that in your mind, everything else just pushes you forward towards that, right? You have that goal. Once you keep your eyes on the goal, it becomes easy for you to reach the finish line. So know what you want and then go get it. And the final sign that you are not ready to buy a house is not knowing what the future holds, and none of us do. I think saying that sometimes, I'm like, oh, none of us know what the future holds. But let's just sum it up and say fear, right? Being afraid to take the step, being afraid of the long-term commitment, especially if you have commitment issues, right? Being afraid of, just taking the plunge, and Lord, I don't know if I'm going to still have my job in 2 years, or there's uncertainty in your job. There are things that are happening that might cause you to think, well, you know what? Maybe I should back up a little bit, because sometimes you can tell, right? You can tell that, hey, I think my boss is probably going to let a few people go. I might be in one of them. So I probably can't buy a house right now. That's a sensible decision, right? So if you know what's going to happen, you're going to make plans for it. So sometimes if you don't know, if you're going to have a job next month. If you are only working part-time hours and you're not making enough money, right? So buying a home is a long-term commitment. So it is important for you to think about your future before you take the plunge. So decide again what you want, how long you want it for, and how you're going to make it happen. And understand that there might be things that happen after you buy the house that you're going to be responsible for, and you're going to have that emergency fund. And so not having that, not knowing what to expect, that can be a reason to why you are not ready, because again, you're fearful, and because you're fearful, you're not making the decisions on what you can do to take you to the next step of home ownership. You may not be able to buy a house right now because you're probably in a season in your life where money is tight. You might be in a season in your life where it's not that money is tight, but there might be physical issues, sickness, disease, a family member in the hospital, and that can drain you and that can keep you out of focus. And so if you're in these times, it might not be a good time to buy a house. Actually, Had a very special case just this year where I closed on a house and my buyer was literally going through chemo treatments and going through cancer, and I was very proud of them. They still bought a house even through all of this, right? But some people can't. Some people can't handle the stress of two things at one time. And it's okay to focus on just one. And sometimes your health, not just sometimes, but every time, your health is always going to take priority over the house. So again, I am your girl right here in Tampa. I love turning renters into homeowners. If you're not yet subscribed, go ahead and do that. If you need any more tips and any more tricks on how to buy a house, if you want information about down payment assistance, if you want information about what to do after you buy the house, feel free to reach out. I would love to help you out. Don't forget to subscribe again, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye.